Hey, welcome to Common Sewing. I'm Bonnie with Common Sewing, and I am here today to teach you how I tailor a tailored waistband on a men's pant. So you know why I'm here to teach you this. I'm a 20-year veteran of the fashion industry. I was the tailor who would go out on photo shoots and alter everything before it went on set in front of a camera. I have tons and tons and tons of experience altering tailored waistbands. And just a side note, tailored waistbands are not exclusive to men's pants. I am 6 feet tall. I am no stranger to wearing men's pants, but it is a construction that you'll see mostly in men's pants. It's the one-piece waistband that is designed to be taken in and taken out as the body changes. I could use that in all of my pants. I don't know about you. But anyway, and side note, let you know another thing. If you like the way I teach and you're looking to improve your sewing skills, I have put together a 6 workshop, learn everything you need to know about sewing to be able to sew anything you want to make. So if this appeals to you, please pop over to Common Sewing and check out the new Basics Beginner Sewing series. You'll learn with me and you'll have everything you need to sew anything you want. But in the meantime, let's work on altering tailored waistbands. And this is pretty dark. I'm going to try to show you what it looks like on the inside. It's the waistband that looks like this. All right, let's get started. Okay, so let me show you what you're going to need to take in your waistband. You obviously need your pants, and your pants should already be measured. What I do to measure the pants on in this case, my husband, so I'm just going to say Brian a lot. I ask Brian to put his pants on. And let me side note on this, always adjust your waistband before you hem anything. Always, anytime you're going to alter a pair of pants, get the pants on your model and pin the waistband first, because the waistband anchors the length of the pant in place, and the length of the leg will change radically once you get the waistband altered or if you leave the waistband loose. And if the person wants to wear a belt, once you get your waistband pinned, just literally pinning is as easy as this. Put it on body, pinch it, ask them if it feels good, ask them if it looks good, and then put a pin in it or mark it with chalk like old-fashioned tailors do. But and then if they plan to wear a belt with it, I suggest putting a belt on. I have been on photo shoots for my biggest client, Ralph Lauren. I do their menswear tailoring, and we didn't put a belt on, but once they got in the look for the shot and put a belt on, it arced the pants up another inch and the beautiful hem was out of place. So, you know, I am a big believer in prepare, because then your work, you can do it once, be done, and it'll be perfect. Let's go over our supplies. You need your pants. You need some straight pins of your choosing. I love these yellow head ones. You need sewing needles that are appropriate to the weight of your fabric, and you need universal or, woven. I always use Schmetz and only Schmetz. That's a personal preference. You will need a hand stitching needle to finish your pant once it's done. You need chalk of your choosing. I love this chalk wheel. You need a measuring tape, a ruler, and you need a seam ripper. Turn your pant inside out, and let's look at the construction of a tailored waistband. You're going to have, obviously, the one piece. You're going to have little pick stitches. Go ahead and remove those really carefully. You're going to have to put them back in, and I would leave the thread in. Don't pluck it out, because that'll give you a guide where to put it back. Anywhere you've got that invisible stitching on the inside, open it up so that you can, you want your pant to be, and I wish there was a rule to how all pants were made. There's not. Every factory has slightly different ways of doing things. So you just do it so that you don't have to open it all the way up, because obviously I'm only going to be letting it out a half an inch. And taking it in would be the exact same thing, just on the other side of the seam. So what I want, and we can take these stickers off. I don't know what those are. What I want, a tailored waistband is, generally speaking, not always, obviously, generally speaking, a one piece. So I want the tailored waistband just to be able to open up, and I need enough space opened up here for me to work to get a half of an inch. So this is plenty. Now you'll see that the little triangles are pressed down. That's just to neaten up the seam allowance. I'm going to pluck those out. And I suggest you do the same. I want it to be out on the flat with no... I went ahead and pressed this flat. I also pressed these flat and I pressed my seam flat. It's a lot easier to work on a flat pressed seam. The other thing I did to get ready to work is I tucked, from the pants being inside out, I tucked one leg inside of the other. And once you do that, you'll really feel the difference in how easy it is to work with your waistband. So all I'm going to do now, since I'm letting mine out, I'm moving towards the seam allowance, or moving into the seam allowance. If you were going to take it in, you would move towards the pant to make the pant tighter. But I am letting my pants out to celebrate all those good snacks we ate in 2020. And I'm going to mark a 1/2 inch. I always mark with something that can be removed, whether it's a chalk wheel or a friction pen or one of those tailor's marking pens from the fabric store. I don't love those. I like friction pens a lot better, and my favorite is tailor's chalk when I can. But the other thing I do, and this is one of my tricks, I absolutely always draw my sewing line. I have been sewing professionally for 30 years, but I just find if I draw that sewing line in place before I sew it, I don't have to pluck it out and do it again. So if I can leave you with anything today, it would be that. All right, I've got that marked. Let's set up our machine and get sewing. Friends, I almost forgot to share with you one of the most important parts of this project. It's the pinning. Okay, so you know it's a one-piece waistband and it's gonna have to fold again. Anywhere my waistband is gonna fold, I put a cross pin in place and I make sure that it's pinned at exactly the same place on the outside so that when I turn it right side out, I have a beautifully lined up waistband. I don't want that 1/8 inch shift on one side to the other. So this is the most important. This is where the waistband hits the pant. So at my stitch line, which I've already drawn in, I'm gonna push straight through. This is how I match stripes. Push straight through, I look on the other side and make sure it's at the same spot. It is. I feel great. Put that pin back in place, and that's that. Okay, so I have my sewing machine all loaded up. I'm gonna go ahead and use a thread that's slightly darker than my fabric because I don't have a gray that matches this perfectly. And my rule of thumb is if you don't have the perfect thread, go slightly darker. And I'm gonna do, if you need a tutorial on threading your sewing machine, I have one on my YouTube station, so check with that, but here we go. Put my presser foot down, hold my thread, plant my needle, take 3 stitches forward, take 3 stitches back. You'll notice I'm just starting at the very top of the waistband and I'm gonna sew all the way through. I cross over my pins. As I hit that point where the waistband meets, I might give it a little back stitch, just a matter of safety. And then I'm going to follow straight down here. I've done a little parallel pinning. You can't stitch over your parallel pin. Okay, so you see I have the original seam and I've got my new seam. I need to take the original seam out so that my new seam will be the seam. Okay guys, so I've gotten my stitch plucked out and I just want to show you what I was talking about with matching up. See how this line is nice and even and this line is nice and even? That is why we did the pinning. Okay, so for my stitching, my final stitching, I'm going to do 1 tack here because that's where the original tack was. I'm going to do 1 tack here and then I will also do a very nice invisible just a slip stitch to hold the waistband down at the center between the facing and the waistband. Okay, so to show you what I plan to do, I'm actually going to use a pink thread because you'll be able to see it. I'm gonna plant my knot underneath the facing so you don't see the knot. And I'm just gonna run, it's just a tack between the pocket facing and the waistband facing. And that just, you don't have to hold this in place terribly tight because the structure of the waistband really holds it in place. You just need a couple of tacks in there. Oh boy, my thread does not want to work with me today. There you go. Like life, thread tangles, you just have to loosen it up. So I just did a tailor's knot, and now I'm going to slip my needle underneath to hide my thread tail. Okay guys, so for the final step, all I want to do is run a little invisible stitch that's only going to run the thread from the inside of the facing to the inside of the waistband. None of this stitching will go to the outside of the pants. So I'm up in the waistband. I anchored my knot in the facing, and I do one little stitch on the waistband, one little stitch on the facing, one little stitch on the waistband, one on the facing. Hey guys, thank you for joining me today to alter a tailored waistband. If you like what you've done, if I've been helpful, please tap the subscribe button, please tap that like button, and please pop over to commonsewing.com to check out the program. Maybe you'll learn to sew with me, or someone you love will learn to sew with me. It's for kids too. Follow me on Instagram to get updates, and yeah, thanks for keeping your clothes around and maintaining your things and learning with me today. Happy sewing.